Yeah, let's do that. That sounds good.
Okay, it's Lorianne and John here coming to you
Hello.
today. Brainpower Breakthroughs, and
Yes.
we are so happy that John can be with us today. He's had some ups and downs and some scares, and things are not going so great right now, but he's with us. And so, John, thanks for being here today and for tuning
You're
in.
welcome. Thanks.
And, you know, my granddaughter called me the other day and she asked me some questions, and it was for a project for her
Hmm.
class. And she had to ask an older person some questions. So, of course, grandma's
I
the
qualify for that, so let's go.
I guess, you know, who knows what age that is that
That
become.
is true. She probably thinks an old person's 30.
Yeah, she thought an old person was her mom. So she interviewed her mom and she took all the questions back to school.
Oh.
And and the teacher said, no, you need somebody even older.
Cool. All
So
right.
yeah, so okay, it was interesting to me because, you know, most of the
Hmm.
questions were where did you grow up? Where were you born? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the question that I really had to like stop and think was, what are two inventions in your lifetime that has made such a difference or impacted you? Um, what are two things?
Personal impacted me personally.
Well, just impacted your life.
Yeah.
It can be anything.
Let's see what inventions. Well, of course, the computer is one of them because it has created an opportunity for us to access the internet, which gives us access to, for lack of better terminology, the world.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a prime example is my son, Cody, is in the Army Reserves,
Mhm.
and he actually is he's a pilot for the Army Apache helicopter
Wow.
platform. Yeah, he's a platoon leader. He's been in Afghanistan for 18 months at one point in time.
Mhm.
Well, now keep in mind, this was before COVID.
Right.
So it was before Zoom became a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody use Zoom now. We are using Zoom right
Yeah.
now. Back when Cody was in Afghanistan, the only option we had was what they call it?
Skype.
Skype. Yes, you're right. Skype. And what was ironic was where Cody was stationed, he had one place in his barracks, in his platoon barracks there in Afghanistan, that he could connect to the internet and pull Skype up. And we had 20 minutes. We were restricted to 20 minutes. And so for 20 minutes, once a week, I would be able to Skype with my son Cody while he was in Afghanistan and I was here in Missouri.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, for that 20 minutes, for the first 10 of it, the picture was kind of squirrely and kind of erratic and everything. For the last half, it was just like you and I are now, perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, um, but just the idea of me being able to talk with my son in a video platform like this
Yeah.
when he was halfway around the world, that was crazy to me
Yeah.
because I'm old enough, and this is where you'll get your old person answer to this. I am old enough to remember when we didn't have phone capability
Right.
to go halfway around the world.
Yeah.
And I'll even take it one step further. This will really age me. Back when I was a young adult and a teenager, I lived on a farm. And now this was prior to computers completely. We didn't have computers at all. The internet came on in what, 84 or 85, if I remember right, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, somewhere.
But when I was growing up on our farm, we had what was called a system phone, which was there was like 8 of my neighbors all in the same system.
We,
And
we
when
used to call that a party line.
when the phone rang, we had to wait and see how it rang before we knew whether or not the phone call coming in was trying to reach someone at my house or my neighbors
Yep.
down the road. So yeah, 3 rings, a pause, and 3 rings, and I could answer the phone. So yeah,
Yeah.
when you think of what, and I go back to my first answer, computers and that kind of stuff, just technology in total, really.
Right.
Because even our phone system, I mean, my gosh, most of you are probably on a phone
Watching this. Yeah.
watching this.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone watching this right now.
Yeah.
The technology that we have come across to do the things that used to be pretty simple for us. You know, how many channels do you have on your TV?
Yeah. We used to have 3 channels.
Yeah, yep,
Three,
exactly.
3 channels.
Yep. ABC, NBC, and CBS.
CBS. Yep. Yep. That's all we
Yeah,
had. And my TV
yeah.
was black and white for a long time. Like
Hmm.
our family couldn't afford the color TV
Yeah.
for a
That
long
was the
time.
one thing my dad did us a big favor for. When it was when we got the opportunity to get a TV, he went first class the whole way through. We had the big console TV and it was color and a remote that changed all 3 channels. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But my
Yeah.
dad said, nope, if we're gonna do it, we're going all out.
Wow.
So he got us the biggest and the best one out there, and we really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I bet.
So yeah. So let's see. Another thing that I felt was very impactful and influential to us back then. I don't know, does a four-wheeler count?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We
remember
had
when 4-wheelers were invented too.
yeah, we had a four-wheeler that dad bought for us to use. Like I said, we lived on a farm. There were times when I had to help the guy that owned the farm, because back then it was like your farmer people owned like 7 or 8 houses in one section of the county,
Hmm.
and then we rented from them, and we eventually bought one of his houses, and lived there for a long, long time. But when we first moved in there, we rented one of the houses that this farmer had. So dad bought us a four-wheeler so we could get around in the grounds, because our farmer that owned the house asked me to help him route his cattle every now and then.
Yeah.
And so I would run the four-wheeler down the road, pull into a field, roundy up all the cattle in that field, pull them back out onto the road and go up the road with them So it was kind of like moving them from one field to another.
Yeah.
And dad bought me a four-wheeler to do that with,
Yeah,
which I
because
thought was,
before they would have to do that with a horse.
yeah.
You'd have to get the saddle on and get your horse ready
Mhm.
and go do all of that on a horse.
Yeah. And the worst part was, is the farmer had the horse. I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So
that
I
was,
ran and walked up the road
yeah.
to corral these cattle into the next field until dad bought me a four-wheeler. And then I was able to truck around on that thing. Vroom, vroom,
Yeah.
vroom, vroom. That was cool. I thought I was tough crap back then. I got my four-wheeler and could corral my cattle in about 1/10 of the time the other guys were corralling theirs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was neat. And then I could get, when school was out, I could go up the road on my four-wheeler to my friend's house and hang out up there and play catch with him. And so that was cool as well. I could truck around to my neighbors' places without taking 3/4 of the time that I was allowed to be out, just getting there.
It gave you a lot of freedom, huh?
It did. It
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Especially as a kid to be able to drive
Mhm.
something. And about
Yeah.
how old were you?
12.
Wow. That's a lot of freedom for a 12-year
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
old.
So, but
That's cool. So, okay. So one of the other questions that she asked
yeah,
me was,
cool
what
question, by the way.
are two historical events that you can remember that happened in your lifetime? Two things that happened in the
Mhm.
world
Yeah.
historically that you remember.
Well, the two most influential things that happened to me was, you know, well, a couple of them I want to tie together because they're kind of in the same category. The assassinations of Martin Luther King and John F. Kennedy.
Hmm.
Um, those were very impactful for me. Um, I mean, the civil rights movement was really big back then, and as it turned out, when all that was going down, one of my neighbors were actually a black family, and I will tell you, Mr. Lincoln was my neighbor's dad. That was his name. That's all I knew him as, was Mr. Lincoln.
He was your coach too.
Yeah, he was. You caught that. That's good for you.
Wow.
That guy taught me more about sports, but he taught me more than that. He taught me about people
Mm.
and the indifference that the color of your skin really means.
Wow. Yeah.
I never once, and it's ironic, I've met with some people since then. I've asked them this question as well. I never once felt like I was taught racism,
Mm.
because I was taught how to not be racist by Mr. Lincoln.
Wow.
And he taught me very well. He taught me what it was like to be a human, regardless of anything else.
Mm.
Because the one thing you guys can't tell by this is how tall I am. Well, I'm 6'4". And there's a lot of people out there, believe it or not, and this is what's so crazy about the way things are looked at. And even nowadays, believe it or not, there are people that look at me and turn around and run away or walk away because they feel exaggeratedly intimidated by my height.
Mm.
I don't know what the deal is about that, Lorianne. Um, but there are. There are people that they'll use any reason in the book to feel intimidated by you, to feel uncomfortable being around you, and to use it against you, which is race. That's racism. Use something that makes you different than anybody else out there and use that as a racism card. It's unfortunate that's the way it is nowadays, but it is. You know, to me, because of what Mr. Lincoln taught me, well, and like I said, didn't teach me. I never learned how to be racist. I learned how to accept someone for who they are, how they treat me, how they treat others, how they live their life. I'm hoping that one day our videos, I mean, the whole basis behind this is to teach people how to live a successful life.
Yeah.
And my hope and prayer is that one day someone watches our videos and understands what I'm talking about and says, you know what? I watched this guy and he taught me how to not be racist. I think that's pretty cool. And I think I learned pretty well from him, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and not just racism, all kinds of other things. I hope I can teach people how to be successful in business. I hope I can teach kids how to be successful in school, how to be successful in athletics. You know, I was blessed to have a very successful athletic career. You know, I went to high school and played on championship teams. I went to a division one college to play football. If you look at the numbers, less than 10% of high school athletics, less than 10% of them are ever given the opportunity to play in a division one college in some sport. And I was blessed to play for a division one college, and we were even good enough. We went to a bowl game in December that year, and we won our bowl game 35-0.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. Beat Texas A&M in the Liberty Bowl. So, you know, and those are opportunities that were given to me because of some of the things that we could do that you guys can't
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Now, there are division one colleges out there right now. There are. But it seems to me like the ability to get in is not as good as it was back then. But you know, and I think a lot of that is the inability to see it. And if we don't have access to certain things, we don't try after it. You know. Um, so where was I at with my answer? What
Well,
was the question?
the historical events that happened.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, that, you know, Mr. Kennedy and Martin Luther King being assassinated. Yeah, the whole deal about the race thing. You know, I'm hoping that we learn to not learn it
Yeah.
in
Exactly.
these days and times that we're living in. And I think we're headed in that direction. I do. I feel like we're headed in that direction because there are a lot of things that have changed since those happenings. Um, and I don't see as much of it as I used to.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
So, what was another historical event?
Um, let's see. The first time a man walked on the moon.
Those are some of the same answers that I gave my granddaughter too. Some of the things that you're talking about are some of
Yeah.
the same. Yeah. And my one that was even more impressive to me than that one, and you I actually was Googling historical events between 1963 and today, just so that
Oh,
so that
uh-huh.
I could like look through them and say, what really, because I just knew since she was asking me off the cuff, I just
Mm-hmm.
thought, my answers might, I mean, there's things that are going to come to my brain real quick,
Yeah.
but
Like
there's
9/11.
there's so many things. Yeah, 9/11, like all that.
Yeah.
But you know what? When I Googled it and I started going through, one picture popped up and it was smoke in the air that went into a Y. The Challenger,
Mm-hmm.
the space shuttle with the
Yep.
teacher, the first
Yep.
teacher to be in space.
Yep. Cheryl
And
McAuliffe.
the minute I saw that picture, I just thought, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I remember right where I was standing in the
Yep.
radiology department to go get another
Yeah.
patient to take him back and get an x-ray.
Yeah. Yep. The space program was really big at that time. Um, when Neil Armstrong, um, here's a funny trivia question for your older friends, Lorianne.
Yeah, because I'm older. I'm older than you.
You're older than me. Yep. But I did a trivia uh, game once with a lot of historical stuff on it.
Mhm.
And then the guy taught me why we were able to bring up the answers. But one of the trivia questions was, do you remember what color the shirt was that Neil Armstrong wore that day?
Nope. Do
It was red
you
and blue. It
remember?
was red and blue.
Red. I was going to say blue because I
Yeah.
just was trying to remember
Mm-hmm.
the the
Yep.
picture, that you
Mm-hmm.
see.
Yep. But it was red and blue.
It was red
And
and
then, yeah. And then here was and he asked the question, and quite a few of us got it right. And then he said, do you know why you got it right? No. Lucky guess, whatever. But he said it's because you were able to tie an emotional bond
mm,
to the event.
mm,
We can remember very specific details when we're involved in a very emotional event.
mm.
Well, man on the moon, pretty dadgum cool,
Right.
and seeing things like that, I got emotional because it was like, how in the world are we able to do that kind of thing? You know? So he asked us a second question. He said, what kind of shirt were you wearing on 9/11?
Mm.
Oops.
Yeah, I'm there. We're here. We're here. Can you hear us still?
I can hear you, but
Oh, we can
it's like
see.
my phone's ringing.
Oh, maybe somebody's calling you.
It is. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
There we go. So anyway, so the question was, what kind of shirt were you wearing on 9/11? What I thought was ironic about that, Lorianne, was not only can I tell you what kind of shirt I was wearing, I can tell you what color it was and how many buttons it had on it.
Hmm. Yeah,
It was a
that
white,
emotion is high.
it was a white polo shirt that had red star. patterns all around the chest area. And I had 4 buttons down the front.
Wow.
And once again, he said, you remembered that vividly because you tied it to an emotional event, and a very strong emotional event. I mean, 9/11 was very, very strong for all of us.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, and that's what he said, the stronger the emotional event, the more recollection you'll have of what happened during it. So, and I think back and I thought, okay, is that why I picked the answers to the questions that I chose? Yeah, Martin Luther King being assassinated was very emotional for all of us.
Right.
You know, landing a man on the moon was very emotional for all of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, 9/11, I mean, all those things. Yeah, I had a very high emotional level bond to each one of those events. No wonder I remembered them so vividly,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
for
Now
sure.
here's the epithesis of that question. What'd you have for lunch last Thursday?
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
I don't have a clue what I had for lunch last Thursday.
Have no idea. Unless you
Yeah,
eat the same thing every day on Thursday.
that's true. That's cheating. So, but so yeah, that's what it boiled down to. The things that I remembered for your questions were things that were very emotional and impactful for me at that time, you
Right,
know?
right.
So, but great questions though. That was
I
cool.
know it was so good to have my
Yeah.
granddaughter call and ask
Yeah.
those questions and just to know what she's learning.
Hmm.
She's a teenager,
Yeah.
she's, in school. These are the things that one of their projects. And I kind of kept going off on some little things like what you did,
Hmm.
talking
Yeah.
and I just said, "Oh, sorry, I'm giving you too much information." She says, "This is perfect, Grandma, because I'm just going to put more information and I'm going to get an A on this essay."
There you go. You bet. Good job. Way to go.
So
Excellent.
even that to me was like, these kids really do want to know these
Hmm.
things about,
Yeah.
their grandma and grandpas and,
Yeah.
people in their lives. So
Yeah.
so the last thing then, for your grandchildren, what if they were asking you these questions, what are some things that you would want them to know about you? That was the last question that she asked me was, is there anything else while we've been talking about this that has come up that you would want me to know?
Great question. Both my grandkids that are here today are both very, very high level athletics.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Grady plays for an amateur baseball league.
Mhm.
Their team has won their state championships the last 4 years, and for the last 2 years has made it to nationals.
Wow. And I bet you're
And
so proud of him.
huh?
I bet you're so proud of him.
Oh yeah, especially when he brings me his rings. Nowadays in this league, if you win championships, they'll give you, and I don't know whether any of you have ever seen like a Super Bowl ring or a World Series ring or something like that. They're huge. I mean, they're like, they're massive sized rings. And they give these rings to these kids nowadays when they
Wow.
win championships. Grady's national ring, I would say, is every bit as big as the Chiefs Super Bowl ring.
Wow.
Not as heavy, because I've had a Chiefs Super Bowl ring in my hand. Those things are massive and they weigh a ton. I mean, they are very heavy. Grady's isn't as heavy, but they're just as big. So they've got a little bit more plastic in them than the Super Bowl ring does. But they're still huge and they're still very decorative and they're still very colorful and all that stuff. So, I mean, they're a really, really neat ring for them. They
That's
really
cool.
are.
That's
You know,
cool.
Avery is into gymnastics and dance. And she has won dance contests for the last 2 years and has placed, she got in fourth in gymnastics last year. So, yeah,
Cool.
those are the cool things my grandkiddos are doing nowadays. So their questions that they would ask me would all be about um, people that played in championship baseball,
Mm,
people that have won the World Series.
yeah.
You know, I told Grady he went too far when he asked me if I knew Babe Ruth.
Oh.
I said, Grady, I'm old, but I ain't that old. So that was cool.
So, what would you like to tell your grandkids?
Personally, for me, because of where they're coming through in their growing up, it would be to, keep athletics at the forefront of their desires because there are so many things that athletics can get you that can open other doors for you.
Just even the determination and learning and the skills and the
Yes.
mindset and
Hmm.
everything around athletic
Yeah.
performances or anything. So that's what you're meaning?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gear most of mine towards mindset,
Right.
because I am a coach and all that. That's really where my focus is keeping them on the mindset of, you know, use this determination, use this focus. Um, and even to take it a step farther, use the resources that you can gain through focusing on mindset,
Yeah.
because there are so many things that can fall into place, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
Resources, people, action items, um, events, all that kind of stuff. Most everything that I have been blessed to do came from the mindset that I learned in athletics. You
Yeah.
know, determination. Um, the thing I remember learning the most about determination is when I played baseball when I was in high school as well. So I was one of those, I had athletics going all the time. You
Right.
know, I had a real good opportunity when I was playing baseball to pitch a no hitter, but I missed out by
Mhm.
one batter hit me. I had a one hitter,
Mhm.
and I got so mad that I didn't make that
Mhm.
happen. And yet, that one hitter that was almost a no hitter was actually around it. And this is a weird way to look at this, but this is what I mean by this. My determination and my willingness to keep driving. I told you I played Division I football,
Right.
not baseball, but I got recruited by the football coach that was at the same college that my baseball coach was coaching at.
Mhm.
That's how I actually got looked at to play Division I football, was because I was being looked at as well to play Division I baseball. And the football coach and the baseball coach were good friends.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because when I was playing football, the baseball coach would come and ask me if I wanted to pitch batting practice to the team,
Hmm.
but he had to get the football coach's permission.
Wow.
So that's why he had to come to my football practices, was to get permission from the baseball coach to
Wow.
practice with the baseball team. So, it is when you're talking about mindset and athletics, it is the determination to keep trying, to keep pushing, to keep working hard, to keep learning from your coaches, to keep your mindset where it needs to be focused at a level, because to play Division I football, that is a completely different level of football than
Right.
just high school or a small college or something like that.
Right.
I mean, it is very much, it's a faster paced game in the first place. Everything is faster, but it's a matter, that determination gets you a long ways in this type of thing, and it opens up other doors.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that would be my answer to that, is keep the determination level up there, because the opportunities, the resources that become available to you, regardless of whether you made the first team or not,
Right.
you know,
Right.
because sometimes, I mean, hey, Michael Jordan got kicked off his high school team.
That's right. That's
How
right.
would you like to how would you like to be known as the coach that kicked Michael Jordan off your team?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's crazy. No one would think that nowadays,
No.
but somebody did at one point in time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, keep the determination up, because you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
That would be my suggestion to them.
Cool.
And have fun.
Always.
Always have fun.
Always. Don't take yourself so
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to
Yeah.
have a little fun and
Yeah.
smile and laugh.
A,
And
yeah. A very dear friend of mine that's a coach down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He told me one day, he said, John, he said, life is a lot more simpler than the stories we tell about it.
I like that.
And I thought, Chaz, you've got to be kidding me. Say that again. He said, life is a little bit more simpler than the stories we tell about it.
Wow.
I thought, that is so crazy, but it is so true.
So true. And your wife Amy coaches about that. She's like,
Yes, she
soften the
does.
story. How can you,
Yes, she does.
we've
Yes.
talked about that in our
Yeah.
previous shows
Hmm.
that,
Yep.
yeah, soften the
Soften our
story.
stories. Yeah. Yep. It is amazing once we release all that stuff that we've got tied to our lives. And most of the time, all that stuff isn't very good stuff. So why keep it?
Yeah,
Soften your stories, let go of all the yucky stuff, and have fun living what you're living. I can promise you, when I went to Arizona a few weeks back to the Phoenix Open,
right.
I can promise you I had a heck of a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here today in a condo. That's why I was thinking about you, because I've got this golf course in my, just right here in the backyard.
Oh,
The
yeah. Cool.
I wasn't so sure I wanted to sit at the furniture out there because I was afraid
Yeah.
somebody might hit the ball the wrong direction and hit me. I was gonna take the computer out there because it's a beautiful sunny day. But
Yeah.
and there's a guy out there right now looking around for a ball.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, I get it. I used to live on a golf course. There were a couple of times the golf balls hit my windows.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, that was a great trip that you guys were able to take last
it
week
was.
and that you were
It was
able
good.
to create that
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
so great. Well, John, thanks. I know you have not been feeling well, and this
Yeah.
is huge for you to be on the call with us today or on the
Glad I
show.
could make it on.
And thanks for sharing all of this great information. And we
Oh,
love
you're
our
welcome.
kids. We love our kids. And
Yeah.
that's why we do this, because we want to share any successful tips or
Hmm.
tricks or
Yeah.
things and know that you're loved. Um, you
Yeah.
know, that's
Yeah.
that's for all ages. We need to feel that love.
It is. Yeah. There's so many times that, I hear about, and not just kids, young adults and older adults. There's so many times that I hear that they just don't feel loved.
Right.
And I just can't stand that thought.
Yeah.
So, yes, by all means, we want all of you out there listening. We're here for a reason. We do this for a specific reason. It's because we love you guys. We want you to succeed. We want you to enjoy life. We want you to have fun, you know? And if you think I'm over exaggerating that too much, I'm sorry. I'm not. I do want you to have fun in your life because, there are times in my life I don't have fun.
Right.
Going through all this stuff, yeah, there are times it's not fun at all. But you know what? I make my fun out of the times I don't have to worry about this or think about this.
Yeah.
I make my fun then. And that's when it's good.
Yeah.
That's when it's good. Times like this is good.
Yeah.
I like this because this is fun. You betcha.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Take care. Oh, I got to do my thing, don't I? Okay. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell that tells you when we have a new episode out there. And share this with your friends. Someone out there is going to have fun because of it.
That's right.
So, but we appreciate you all. We love you all. It's great to see you on the call. And we look forward to our next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.